Would you call roll, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Bartleman,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
I'm here.
Commissioner Parker,
Here.
Judge Clymer.
Here. And Commissioner Bartleman, you offer a prayer, please?
Well, yeah, sure will. Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day. We thank you for the opportunity we have to meet, to protect the business of McCracken County. Just pray you be with us as we make the decisions, and all that we do is not only good in the light of the residents of this county, but more importantly, good in your light, Father. We just ask your blessings on all our county employees, for the first responders who keep us safe. We're so thankful for them and for all that they do. Father, we pray for our judge as he's traveling. He has safe travel as he moves on and comes back home. We just pray you be with him. Father, we're so thankful for what you do for us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yeah. All right, stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
and to
and to the republic
for which
it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all. Mhm.
All right, and let's see, before we jump into the agenda, let me just bring you up to speed a little bit. I attended a Energy Communication Alliance meeting in Phoenix this week, and I want to say, we joined that outfit just a couple of weeks ago. I think it's money very well spent. I made some good contacts with some very high-level people. Had a nice meeting with Ike White, who's the senior advisor to Department of Energy Environmental Management, and also spoke with Joel Bradburn, the manager of the Paducah Gaseous Diffusion Facility and the Portsmouth, Ohio facility. We talked about some of the issues going on. We talked about nickel just a little bit. I talked with Ron Woody, who is Ron was a former president of the ECA. He's in Oak Ridge at their facility. And we had some discussions about nickel that they have in their facility there and in ours, and about the possibility of getting that cleaned up, as we looked into back some time ago. And so we'll continue talks about that and see where that might lead. It'll be perhaps an uphill battle, but won't mind an uphill battle. Particularly if we win. But so I just I learned a lot. I'll pass that on to the others, and I think we'll be in a better position. Talked with quite a few people there that these are all the members of this ECA are all members of the local communities that are affected by Department of Energy issues pertaining to facilities that they have in their communities. And so we all have similarities. Some are larger concerns than others, but so just I think it's time and money well spent to get that done. They do pay for the attendance and the flight out and the expenses and all that. So that's helpful, of course, as well. Anything on that further? All right, then, Madam Clerk, need to approve the consent agenda.
It is ordered to approve the consent agenda for the March 14th, 2022 McCracken County Fiscal Court.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Budget transfers.
It is ordered that the necessary cash transfers in the amount of $75,000 be made in order to pay county bills and payroll approved March 14th, 2022.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. That carries. Let's see, accounts payable.
It is ordered to approve the vouchers claims register from February 28th, 2022 to March 14th, 2022 to show county bills in the amount of $693,189.18 were paid.
So made.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. That carries. All right, and then under item 4, we have it for discussion. First up, the Sports Tourism Commission update. Who wants to lead off on that?
I can't judge.
All right, Jim?
Appreciate you guys having us, and we've been meeting regularly with our partners over at SFM as well as our monthly meetings. Everything's moving along well. Just trying to kind of get the final bolts on everything from that standpoint. I'm gonna let Lori talk a little bit here in a minute about that. Outside of that, we've had some really good transit room tax numbers. I think you guys have seen that. And the tourism that we have here in place with the volleyball and basketball is continuing to boom. So we're excited about that. For sports, outdoor sports, that season's starting right about now. So we'll be happy when we get this complex built and get that going. But Steve and myself and Chris Hill are meeting weekly with the team, just kind of going everything from any potential changes to the design to concession stands and what we might want to put in there, what sports are we going to focus on, marketing. I mean, you name it, we probably had a conversation about it as we dig deep into this, this outdoor complex and make sure we hit our goals. So I'm going to let Lori talk a little bit and let her talk about SFM and how they're partnering with us. And we've probably multiple of us commissioners, as well as Steve, we mentioned several times, we definitely made the right choice going with them. So Lori and her team's been great to work with. They've made us kind of rethink some things and think everything through very thoroughly, which is exactly what we want them to do. So Lori, I'll let you kind of talk for a little bit now, and if there's any questions, one of us can answer them.
Sure, thank you. And I appreciate your time today and the opportunity to meet with each of you. And that's exactly what we want to be, is partners with you. And it's going to be thinking partners. It's going to be get in the weeds partners. It's going to be operations partners. It's going to be all of those things. So we're just excited to move forward with this project. And give me just 1 second, and I'm going to share my screen with you.
And Lori, also, would you just give a brief background about your company and so for the media and others that are watching?
Sure. My name is Lori Moore, and I am an account executive with the sports facilities companies. And part of what, and it's not letting me go to not my full slideshow. So we'll just do it that way, if that's okay. But our company with sports facilities management does include a development side, an advisory side, and a management side. So what has been such a blessing with this project in particular is that we are able to mesh all 3 sides of our company together to work hand in hand with McCracken County to develop this facility. So that is, sometimes we get the opportunity to do that, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes they're just engaged on an advisory side with a feasibility study, or we're just brought in to manage the project. So when I say that we're working as partners, both through all 3 sides of our company and with the Sports Tourism Committee. So it really has been a terrific opportunity to bring the best product to McCracken County. And what I would like to start with, unless anyone has any questions specifically about our company, we are based out of Clearwater, Florida, And I particularly am based out of Eastern Tennessee. So it's just a nice little drive across our 2 states to get to Paducah to be able to meet with you. But I'm happy to answer any questions throughout this time about our company and the 3 different sides that we represent. But the first part of our engagement will be on the development side. And what was very exciting for us last week was to introduce to the team an optimized design concept with a test fit of the field layout that we foresee for the space there in McCracken County. Now, what is vitally important with that, we believe, is that we were able to bring more playability to the complex. And by that, I mean more field space. And when you're talking with rights holders, the number of fields becomes very, very important. That's when the more teams that they're able to bring into your community, the better profit margin they have. But with that being said, is more fields also makes you a increased destination for those rights holders. It makes them look at you rather than a smaller facility. So with that test layout, we were able to gain more field space. And then also one of the concerns that we had was parking. And this design also increased parking, because throughout our talks with the team, our internal talks, we were all concerned about that, and that is a priority for us to make sure that we have ample parking for our guests. So as we were able to present this draft test fit to the committee, it also aligned with the pro forma that was presented. And I'll talk about that just a little bit more briefly later. What the other things that the design committee are currently engaging in, you can see on the screen there, is designing, finalizing design services, just a little bit about the timeline. I think what's really important there is scheduling the team programming charrette to really look at the new programs that we've inserted on that pro forma and how that's going to affect the overall design. So that's actually a fun process, and it's fun to engage the operations team in that so that we can maximize what is happening at the complex.
Lori?
Yes.
So my name's Eddie. I don't think we've met. So
Hi, Eddie.
I'm seeing 318, 41, 316, and 324, and I assume those are deadlines? Or
Yes, those are timelines for us within the upcoming month. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And also, just so you know, we have a weekly meeting with the working group. So we are not, and there are also lots of things going on in the background, but just so you know, we want to be accountable on a weekly basis to everything that's happening and the progress that's being made.
Lori, when you
Yes.
say finalized design services, are you talking about the phase 2 contract with Peck Flannery Grimm Warren?
Yes, sir. I believe.
I just wanted to
confirm that for sure.
Yes.
That was brought to me by Kevin Green. And just to talk a little bit about the folks that will be working on this, Jake Whitaker is our vice president of the development side of SFC. But then Kevin Green has been just recently brought on to serve as the owner's rep. He has extensive experience, especially in working with minor league stadiums and other sports facilities. And so we are super excited that he will be leading the charge for us on that.
If I may say one more thing, please. Eddie, on that 318, last week, Peck Flannery Grimm Warren did submit the phase 2 design contract to us. As SFM is our owner's representative, we sent them a copy of that to help us review it to finalize that contract with Peck Flannery.
I guess that was my, so Kevin is going to be the owner's representative. I guess how's that there? He's just
No, he works for SFM and is assisting Lori as the account manager in the review of the contract with Peck Flannery.
okay. All right.
So one of the very exciting things that we were able to do last week was to present a new performer to the group. And Evan Eliff, who is one of the partners for SFC, was able to do that, and has an extensive history of doing this around the country for many years. And taking industry benchmarks, but also taking internal benchmarks that we're able to provide from the multiple venues that we manage about what is the industry saying, what is truly happening with boots on the ground, and meshing those together to make the numbers be as accurate as possible. So during the industry benchmark portion of that presentation, the performa, where we were landing on the performa, I think it's very important for you to know that if you are looking at a scale of fair, good, better, and best, all of our numbers fell between that better and best range. And that's exactly where we want to be for this facility. So that was exciting to see, exciting to present. And this performa is this baseline first round. Let me reiterate that. It is the first round because things are going to change. We're going to make design changes still. There are going to be little things that come up here and there that we will align that performer with, but it's utilizing that new optimized design that I mentioned earlier. It did include a complete picture of revenue and expenses, and then it also included a snapshot of what the economic impact would be for the facility. And it's important to note there, when I mentioned development before, and what rights holders are looking for when they are coming into a community, they want profitability. They want to be able to make money off their event, but what that also means is increased economic impact for you. The more teams they bring in, the more people that are sitting in restaurants buying meals, the more hotel rooms that are sold. Now with that, we also have event projections built in. And very specifically, when I'm talking about event projections, I'm talking these aren't exact numbers, 4 small baseball tournaments, 8 medium-sized baseball tournaments, 3 extra large baseball tournaments, that type of breakdown, and what that means for the economic impact for the community. So that is what we want to relay to you, but to also know that some of those larger events that we're trying to drive and what we're trying to push will hopefully help serve as an economic driver for your community. Because if we've been in one community, we've been in 100. So we're building this is coming. Let's have the infrastructure, make sure and catch up with this, that we're ready to handle it, and that the businesses are prepared. So,
all right, let me ask you this.
Yes.
I think we're all on board. You're not having to convince us that this is a good idea. It sort of started here, but what does optimized field design mean?
Based off of the original design that was presented, that was laid out by SFC, not by SFC, by a previous group, we have gone in and created a layout where it's primarily using multi-purpose fields. And by that, envision a extra large football field that can then be converted to 2 small baseball fields. Is that we are expanding the depth and breadth of some of these fields, but to allow for more play. And that's both on a long field side and a diamond side.
Can we see that design anytime soon? Is that going to be in your slideshow here a little bit?
It's not in this presentation, but Steve has a draft of that.
Let me ask you this specifically. I guess the issue is are these fields, so I guess what I saw the last time I saw was 6 or 7 soccer fields. Do we still have 6 or 7 soccer fields?
Well, what the optimized field breakdown goes to is, depending on the layout, depending on how it's configured for which event, is that you would have 5 total fields with the what you would consider a high school baseball field, the 400 fence level. Mm-hmm. You could get up to 10 with a 225 fence, and 5 in that in between range. So really on the baseball side, you're upping your game that you could have a total of 20 fields on baseball.
When we say when we say optimize, we're not optimizing any of the baseball designs we saw. We're optimizing the soccer fields so that they can double as baseball fields.
It's actually both.
So
And
Eddie,
then-
Eddie, you'll have the opportunity to turn the baseball fields into soccer fields as well. So you'll have actually more fields both ways.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Commissioner, it's closer to, if you remember, the first study we commissioned with Norm Gill. It's more closely reflecting his recommendations that you don't have a single purpose field, that it can do soccer, or it could do baseball, or it could do softball.
Yeah, I remember that was the very first thing we had, and that was his recommendation. I guess I'm still trying to figure out, though, then do you still have this championship baseball diamond and the, I don't want to derail your presentation, but obviously us and the entire community have been shown a picture, and it sounds like the picture's changed, and I'd like to see the picture before we get too far down the road.
If I may, Eddie, this was just presented to us last week. We have not even taken this to the full Sports Tourism Commission yet. It was the first glance at it that we had. Also, I can say that what is being proposed replicates more like a traditional baseball field than what was originally proposed by the Norm Gill study. You can think almost a soccer field out in the outfield. But we plan on bringing all of this out to the full body. It's just we have not gotten to that point yet.
Okay. I guess the same with the pro forma. I haven't seen that yet either. It sounds like it's good news.
Yeah, we just got it last week as well. So same thing Steve said. We just haven't gone all the way through it, gotten that out to everybody. I mean, we're still, like I said, we got that, I guess, Wednesday of last week. So nothing's been changed formally yet or voted on or anything like that.
Well, we're interested people. We'd like to see it when we can.
Yeah. Sorry, Lori, we kind of
No, that's fine. That's fine. And like I said, I just want to kind of give you that overview of what each of the divisions are, what we're currently working on for you right now. And on the management side, which is my specialty, what I'm working on is the project timeline software, and that will take into account the approved design once it is approved, and have a program focus associated with that. One thing that I love about the software we work in is Smart Sheets. Some of you may be very familiar with that, but it aligns with the development timeline. So if there are any changes made, if a date is pushed up, pushed back, whatever, then they immediately speak to each other and account for that within our deadlines. So the software really is basically about an 18-month timeline with about 400 steps in it. And it truly includes everything from your customized facility use license agreements and waivers, all the way to where are you going to stand the day of grand opening and cut the ribbon. So it's really from top to bottom what's going to happen within that first, during that pre-opening time frame. And also starting to work on that pre-opening budget, which will align very much with a pro forma once that is approved. And then also where things really start kicking in and moving for our team is when we bring the other part of the management side into market to talk about accounting, marketing, programming events, and everything we're going to be doing in that pre-opening timeline. So that's kind of an overview of what we're currently working on for you to bring this facility to fruition.
So that project timeline, I mean, when do we anticipate putting a shovel in the ground?
That honestly, Mr. Jones, that is definitely more of a question for the design team than it is for me. But I do not have an answer for you on that. I can find one out for you.
Yeah, Commissioner, we're still waiting on, we're finalizing, as you know, the interlocal agreement. That's with the legal team. And then as well as the contract with our design team and PFGW. So once we get those two things finalized, we'll have more of a idea of when the shovel's going to go on the ground.
Well, let me say, so how long will the design take? I guess I'm trying to create a realistic expectation in the public as to whether we're going, I mean, the truth is we're either going to start construction before winter or we're going to wait until winter passes. And I would say the design time would tell us the answer to that, so we all have a realistic expectation.
The design is approximately a 6-month process, Mr. Johnson.
So we're probably not going to put a shovel. The earliest we can put a shovel in the ground is about February, April next year, or February, March, rather. Unless we're going to build it in the winter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We have that answer yet until we know, exactly once that 6-month time clock starts. Any other questions for myself or Lori?
Lori, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. I'm anxious to get back to Paducah and McCracken County, and I have a feeling I'll be dropping some tax dollars downtown.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Moore. Appreciate it. And Jim, thank you. Y'all welcome to stay on if you want. It's I'm sure it'd be riveting, but you may have other things you want to do. So we move on. Let's find. See, next thing we have on under discussion is annexation. Put that on the docket, just to on the agenda to just sort of touch base there. And of course, we've had some discussions already. I've spoken several times with the mayor about the county's concerns over the city annexing county property. And what really, I guess, brought it to the forefront was, of course, the action that the city took back a couple of weeks ago, formalizing a strategic plan that's designed to annex a minimum of 6 county properties a year with certain incentives offered to the landowners, certain rather attractive incentives, but not limited to those enumerated or expressed incentives. So I talked to him about the city wants to annex county property in order for the city to grow, and of course it's fairly simple that if the city takes county property, the city grows and the county loses, not only in geography but in potential revenue from developments that would likely come along. And that's really what we're talking about is landowners potentially developing a piece of property. As we know, to be annexed, the county property has to be contiguous to the city property, so it has to adjoin it or well, essentially has to adjoin it. It can also be a road dividing it, still considered adjoining property, not contiguous, but is adjoining in that sense. And so I guess the scenario is a developer wants to come in, build some, say, retail establishment on whatever, say 20 acres in the county. The city has been characterizing incentives as promoting voluntary annexation. And I know that the mayor understands my position. I think it's our position that voluntary is one thing, incentivized annexation, while still voluntary, is certainly promotes annexation, and so takes county property. The city payroll tax is twice what the county payroll tax is. So the once some project is developed, the store, the whatever it is that's producing revenue would then pay twice as much tax that would go to the city. The county would lose the 1% that we charge. City gets 2%, we get 1%. So we would lose that revenue, and then other sources of funding as well. And so I just want to put it on to get commissioner's pulse on what you believe is a fair ground. I told him that first of all, our position would likely be that we oppose annexation of commercial revenue producing property. That's one thing. Do we want to oppose residential annexation of purely residential property? In my mind, it's the revenue producing, the manufacturing, the retail, that sort of thing that causes our pain. But it gets a little more complicated, because I think also we certainly don't want to stand in the way of progress. We want, if a developer wants to come to our community and that developer wants to build a development, let's say it's a retail store, whatever. We don't want to say that we're going to, cause a commotion if the city wants to annex that piece of property on their own initiative. Are we going to, I just think we want to be promote growth and promote activity, but I guess to get to the bottom line is we don't want to stand in the way of development. If a developer wants to come here and develop a project, it causes us some heartburn when the city says yes, and if you'll come into the city, we will give you these attractive incentives. The developer develops for a lesser price based on those incentives. The retailer or the final user or the manufacturer, whatever it is that occupies that space, maybe sees little to no gain from being annexed. In fact, probably more expense than they would have if they stayed in the county. And so it's really an incentive to the developers to develop the property. So where I think we should lie, and I want to see what each of you believe, is to first of all oppose the annexation of retail property, revenue generating property. But if the city does annex these properties, share 50-50 with the county on all revenue that's generated from that. That's sort of the 50,000-foot view overview of it. And I want to hear what your thoughts are.
What was the length of time that we would share?
Well, that'd be negotiable. I mean, I suppose we could make a formula of a certain amount. I mean, we're just in the sort of, I think, on the cusp of trying to work through this. As we know, I guess the first thing, of course, is the statutes. The legislature has determined that a city can annex property however they want to, take our property, and as long as it's contiguous or adjoining, and we have little to nothing to say about it. However, the mayor and I believe the city commission are concerned that just taking our property in the face of our expressing our concerns about it along with, and here's the big thing, the fact that the city and the county work just exceedingly well together. We have so many different projects that we're sharing in, and for mutual benefit for both the city and the county. Money savings, efficiency, we can name 10 or 12 different things. And I'm talking to the mayor a couple times a week, meeting with him once or twice a week. And so we've got just such a great relationship to promote our community, city and county. And so that is really the only card I think that we hold is, and that the city values that. And I want to thank the city commission and the mayor for taking that position. And they can say, hey, law says we can take it, we're taking it, so make out of it whatever you want, but they certainly are not doing that. Of course, yes, we got cards we could play as well, but this is not, I don't think this is a time in which we want to get adversarial with each other. It's a time when we need to figure out what's a mutual benefit for each and come to some agreement. And particularly with the projects, that we have looking at us and, potential development and job creation, that sort of thing. We want to be on one page and working together and promoting this community as we have been for the last several years.
Well, I wasn't suggesting it would be adversarial. I think an agreement with the city on annexation and sharing of occupational tax is a very, very good idea, but I'm interested in the length of that term. Obviously the hot topic is trying to insulate our public school property from annexation because of the immediate impact. Every teacher in the county would have their local tax doubled, and I'm sure they don't want to do that. And as I understand it, the mayor has said that they're not interested in annexing any public school property. So that made me feel better.
If I could comment on that, I think whatever we do, I think we do need some kind of a revenue sharing agreement. It's got to be a long-term agreement because we're going to have long-term commitments that are going to require us to pay out money over the years. I think it not only needs to include the payroll tax, but the net profits tax that the corporations make too. I think we need to get a portion of that. I think if you want to look at the impact of annexation, you just look at our history of our payroll tax revenue. It's been flat over the last, I don't know how many years, Steve, but our payroll tax has not really grown very much over the years. And that's because every time somebody puts in a gas station, the city wants to annex it. I think there's more developments that under discussion out US 60 toward the high school. I think there's some land out there that's about to be developed. It might be that those landowners don't want to be annexed, but I don't know if they can stop it or not because there's no residents there. But I think whatever we do, it has to be revenue sharing. It has to include the payroll tax, has to include the net profits tax. And it needs to be long enough that we can have a sustainability to cover debt that we're going to incur in the projects that we're working on with the city. It'd be like buying a car and having to make car payments, knowing that in 2 years you're going to quit your job and not have the money to pay your car payments. We need to make sure we can make those car payments over the 15 or 20-year periods. I think that's really important. I think it's kind of disappointing. We're trying to get to some discussion in Frankfurt with the legislature over annexation, and a simple thing to block annexation of school property if schools systems don't approve. That's not just an issue with us, it's an issue, and I think maybe a dozen other communities. And it's kind of disappointing that one of our legislators went to bat to help kill the bill. I don't think the bill had a chance of being approved this session, but there at least could have been some discussion on it. But one of our legislators kind of killed that, even the discussion of it. So hopefully even the introduction of that bill will cause some discussion in Frankfurt to at least deal with that issue. Annexation is a long debated and long controversial issue in Frankfurt because the municipal league is in favor of it and the counties association is opposed to it, and the legislator is always afraid to make either of those groups mad. So I think hopefully maybe we can get at least some discussion on the school issue, because we have two schools that probably could be ripe for annexation. The new Lone Oak Middle School, it's already adjacent to city property. And if they got the Lone Oak Middle School, they probably would take the Henry Lone Oak Elementary. And I think there's, I forget, there's, I don't know how many, 200 or 300 employees at those schools. The high school, they can get out and get that. That's about a third to a half of all the school employees. So we just need to keep on top of those issues. And I appreciate the mayor and the commissioners who today said they don't want to annex those, but what if there was an outcome of the election this year or in 2 years when the mayor comes up again, and there's a whole new commission, and they, as the judge says, say, we can do it, we're going to do it. Doesn't matter what the past commission. So I think we need to keep on top of it. We need to be proactive and try to get, at the very least, some kind of agreement with the city, and at the very most, some legislation to protect us.
Anybody
I
else?
agree. I agree with both my fellow commissioners there. I think one of the points we're missing too is in the western end of the county, Concord area, they just built a new fire department out there, and a lot of that's contingent on those residential growth and the growth of commercial property. So if the city takes them all, we want to make sure we're not putting them in a bind 5, 10, 15 years down the road, being able to pay financially for the property they've developed in the fire department. So that's something else to keep in mind. But I would definitely entertain the 50-50 or something in that area. I think that'd be a good deal for both of us. And I think you're right. Once we get to that point, Judge, we can do like you said, move on and promote the city and county together.
That's a good point, Jeff, about the fire departments. I think that maybe could be handled in the agreement as maybe tweaked a little differently in addition to the 50-50, so that we're supporting their income needed for the debt service they've just incurred. That's a good point.
I think that's covered by statute already.
Oh, tell me.
Stevie, you can jump in here, but if you annex the property of a rural fire department and they have debt that the city has to, there's a calculation that makes up some of their lost revenue, because when the city annexes, and Concord probably has, or most of the fire districts have anywhere from 5 to 7 cents of assessed valuation, or their tax rate on assessed valuation. And there's some mechanism that they recover their revenue. Is that correct, Steve?
It is, and also the city is required, I believe at the time of the intent to annex ordinance, to contact the fire district to let them know of the possible annexation. And then I believe there's a certain time period that they must respond back to the city.
The legislature gave with wisdom that ability to fire departments, but not to county government.
Yeah, so we can borrow. They're not worried about our debt service, but they are worried about the.
Is there something they're protecting that if the city has to pay that money up front, does it go against that debt, or does it just go to the fire department?
It goes to the fire department for that reason.
Okay, anything else? All right. Before we get off it, I just want to, just to, I guess, summarize. We're on the verge of coming to a mutually beneficial agreement on the annexation. We certainly don't want to stand in the way of progress, but we want to be treated fairly, and I think the city sees our point about that. In fact, I told George, or told the mayor, think of it the reverse. What if the county could annex city property? You might have a little burn going yourself, and it's a simple concept. So we work well together, and I feel confident we're going to come to something that's very palatable and agreeable to both entities. And so I'll be working with that with the mayor, and we'll get back to it very soon. All right, let's see, we got item 5. Does anybody want to move to or take from the table that?
No. No.
Yeah, I think we can move on table one more meeting.
All right, we'll leave that on the table then. Madam Clerk, number 6.
It is ordered that the judge executive is authorized to execute the amended memorandum of understanding between the fiscal court and the McCracken County jailer as reworded on February 28, 2022, and agreed upon by the jailer and the fiscal court at said fiscal court meeting.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
No, that carries. Let's see.
It is ordered to approve the February transient room tax in the amount of $351,875.13 to be dispersed as follows. Paducah CVB, $103,431.08. Convention Center, $70,140.57. Sports Tourism Commission, $106,983.51. Escrow Fund, $71,319.97.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those no, that carries.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS 72.450 and McCracken County Ordinance Number 2016-11, the sum of $530 be transferred from the McCracken County Indigent Burial Cremation Funds account into the McCracken County General Fund. Said sum represents the amount of funds recovered by the county, no probate case of record, for use in the recoupment of the county's indigent burial cremation contribution on behalf of the decedent.
So
So
moved.
made. Second.
Any discussion? I hear something? No? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
No, that carries.
It is ordered that the previous lease agreement between McCracken County Jail and Xerox will be replaced by a lease agreement with Wilson Office Solutions. The Xerox lease will continue on a month-by-month basis until the equipment from Wilson's is ordered and delivered. The judge executive is authorized to execute the agreement and sales form in order for the equipment to be ordered.
So made.
Second.
Steve, this involves 4 copiers. Is that what they need? Is Steve Doolittle?
Sorry, what's the question, Commissioner?
I said that this involves 4 different copiers. Do they need 4 copiers in the jail? And is it replacing 4 copiers? And the monthly fees, are they pretty close to what they were in the past? Or do you
I
know?
don't know. I don't know.
All right, thank you.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Got 1 in favor. Anybody else?
Well, I guess now I feel like I'm voting on something that we're not sure of how much it's going to cost, whether it's got up or not.
So it continues the agreement until, let's see, well,
I guess the question is if the Wilson contract is more than the one that's expiring, and why are they changing? Is the jailer on here?
No.
Was this in the packet?
Yes.
Yeah, it's $383 a month, $383.86 for 60 months.
I guess my questions are, number one, do they need 4 copiers? And as I said earlier, how does this compare with the previous price? And why are they changing companies? And are the existing copy machines, are they obsolete, not working, or are we saving money or spending more money? Or
Not had any involvement with that. I don't know. Do you know, Steve D? Do we need to get a little more information? Maybe bring it back.
I don't think those specific, what they submitted answers that specific question.
I mean,
So the ones with Xerox, they're billed 4 different invoices instead of one monthly like Wilson's is proposing. But I just added up the last month's and it looked like it was $570 for 4 copiers. So this looks to be a reduction of that.
well, gentlemen, I've been in the jail and I can certainly see why they need 4
okay,
copiers in different locations in order to do their job safely. So I'm going to vote for it particularly if it's less money.
All right. Maybe it leaves me to negotiate. Maybe we can negotiate to be the same or less for similar equipment.
I believe that would be 2 ayes.
We got 2 ayes.
Yes.
Well, Pam just said it was less, didn't she? Same amount of copiers and less money, almost $200 a month less, correct?
Yeah, just adding up the last 4 bills we paid for them, that's what it looks like, that this would be cheaper. I don't know if it's the same comparable equipment. I mean, it's all new equipment, but it's 4 and we were paying 4. That's all I can tell you.
Steve, do you know if you got bids on these? Or just proposals?
It wouldn't have been a bid situation. A number of these have state contract pricing associated with them. I think all of the major copier companies have a state contract price.
I can get in when I get back. I can get into some of the details, and we can see, make sure we're getting similar equipment for less money. If we're not, I won't sign off on it. We'll come bring it back next meeting. How's that?
So do you want to approve it now and come back, or not approve it? Just pass over.
You're authorizing me to execute an agreement on it. If it's more money, I won't sign off on it.
I'm fine with it.
I'll vote aye. If it's only $300 some a month, it's not a whole lot of money for, I don't think, 4 copiers. And they're probably better than the ones we got. So I'll vote aye. So we got 3 ayes.
All right. All right. All in favor, aye. There's 3 ayes. All right, that carries that. All right, Madam Clerk.
It is ordered that the McCracken County Fiscal Court join with the City of Paducah in pursuit of the annual Household Hazardous Waste Grant through the Kentucky Division of Waste Management for the annual Spring Clean Day 2022.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
So does this cost us money, or are we asking for a grant? We're
We're asking for a grant. We get one generally every year from the state. So it's Spring Cleanup Day when people bring paint, petroleum products.
I got it. I just didn't know if we were giving the grant or asking for it. So I'm fine.
Asking for it.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is hereby ordered that the 14-year-old sorrel saddlebred cross gelding named Big Boy, the 24-year-old sorrel Haflinger cross gelding named Ace, and the 2-year-old black filly, breed unknown, named Star, which were confiscated by McCracken County Animal Control and which were forfeited to the county as a result of McCracken District Court, case number 21M01410, Commonwealth versus Tharp, are to be transferred to A&A Horse Haven, a horse rescue organization.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. That carries.
It is hereby ordered that Resolution R 2022-4 be adopted and enacted in support of the need for the widening, lengthening, and realignment of Friendship Road, Kentucky 1286 in McCracken County. The approximately $35 million plan of the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for said improvements, and further supporting the project in the amount of $50,000 if a raise grant is awarded for the entire project.
So move.
So, second.
Discussion? No discussion? All right, all in favor, aye.
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 Steve D, did we have Kyle here to?
Yeah, we have the district engineer, Kyle Pote, along with Chris Kuntz from the cabinet to tell you what this is about.
Cool.
All right, well, let's hear from them, and I think we'll be in favor of it, but we've got them here, and they can advise us on it. Who wants to go? Kyle, you there?
I'm here, Judge. I'll actually defer to Chris to start the conversation out on it.
All right.
Thanks for having us on this evening. As most of you know, I'm sure everybody follows the news, the bipartisan infrastructure bill that passed the U.S. Congress and was signed by President Biden several months ago has a lot of money allocated to different pots of projects. And the way they have that set up is states have to apply for the funds in order to win the funds to be able to spend it on their projects. Some of them are set up for mega projects like the Brent Spence Bridge. There's a category of project, Lisa, called the RAISE grant. I can't remember what the RAISE stands for, but it's one of the categories in that infrastructure bill. And the cabinet, in conjunction with the city and the county, is going to be putting an application for the Friendship Road project to try and win a grant to help fund the Friendship Road project. One of the benefits of that, right now the project is split into 4 sections in our project development process. Section 1, the section from 45 US 62, we're buying property on right now and hope to let to construction later this year. Section 4, which would be the section from Olivet Church Road to around Menards, tying into US 60 near Tractor Supply, has funds for right-of-way acquisition and construction and utility relocation in the biennium budget. The 2 sections in the middle from Olivet Church Road all the way back to 62 are not in the current governor's recommended 6-year plan. So, in order to get the entire project through our normal budget process is going to take several years in order to get those other sections funded. By winning the RAISE grant, if we win the RAISE grant, KYTC is committed to building all 4 sections of the project at once as soon as possible with the additional funds the grant brings in. And I don't have to explain, I'm sure, to everybody on here how important that project is to Paducah and McCracken County with the connectivity and safety it'll bring, tying especially the Lone Oak area to the commercial development out by the mall. I heard your discussion on the annexation issues and whether it's city property or county property. There's definitely a lot of development happening in that area from Menards West, and we want to try to get this built as quickly as we can to get a good connection to it. So this is a similar grant to what Murray and Callaway County won a few years ago, 2 years ago, to do the 641 project. One of the criteria for this grant is local support and local participation. So that's why we're asking for both the city and the county to put some money towards the project in order to show to FHWA that it's a locally supported project that helps improve the chances of winning the grant, improve the score of the project when FHWA and USDOT review the grant applications. So that's kind of it, the summary in a nutshell. So, if anybody has any questions on the project, I could try to answer those. We had a public meeting on this project back in September, and we've got a project website that has a lot of the information on specifics of the project, specific alignments, what properties are affected, things like that. And I can send that. I sent that to Steve Doolittle just before the meeting started, and he can distribute that to everybody else if they want to take some time to kind of dig through what we're doing on specific project stuff.
Do you or Kyle, either one have that map of that you could put up or not here on the screen? We can see what it looks like. Or I know you have one. I've seen.
Yeah, let me.
This is basically the same project that takes a sharp curve out of Friendship Road, right? That's first phase.
Yes, that's okay. Correct. That's part that would be in phase 1.
And then it crosses 62 and ducks in either behind Menards, I guess.
Yes. Let me see if I can share my screen, get this to work. Can everybody see what's on the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, the phase 1, section 1 that we're doing the acquisition on now would connect at Lakeview Drive near Kentucky Fried Chicken, build a new alignment across the back of property owned by Mount Kenton. And then the 90-degree curve you mentioned is right here where my little cursor is. Mm-hmm. We'd stay in the existing alignment and widen to 3. It'd be a 3-lane road with a mixed-use pedestrian path / bike lane on one, a separated multi-use path on one side of the road.
Oh, separated. That's cool.
Yes. And so that goes to 62. Sections 2 and 3 would basically follow the existing alignment, but widen 2-3 lanes with wider lanes and either a better shoulder or curb and gutter, depending on where you're at, with that multi-use path. And then section 4 goes around behind Menards from 998 Olivet Church Road and ties into US 60 Tractor Supply.
Does it have the path as well?
Yes, the path goes the entire length of the corridor.
How wide is the path?
I believe it's somewhere in the 8 to 10 foot range.
Oh, cool.
But it's just, rather than doing trying to do sidewalk on both sides of the road and figure out putting bike lanes on the road, we decided to just do the separated path on one side, and then it could be used by bikers or walkers, wheelchairs, all those different types of things.
I love that idea, because when I feel like when I'm in a bike lane, I'm just simply where they want me to be when they hit me. So
yeah, and this will have, it'll be a 45-mile-an-hour route, but it will have a lot of traffic on it, and to widen the road far enough to where we could have sidewalk and a wide enough bike path that we felt was comfortable. Especially in this kind of these residential areas by like the back entrance to St. Thomas More Church, a few other places. We're really starting to acquiring too much right of way. So we narrowed that down to just the multi-use path on one side.
Cool.
What do you think the prospects are? We'll get this grant. Is a certain amount allocated to Kentucky, and are you trying to get more than what you're allocated?
No, I don't believe there's a certain amount allocated to Kentucky, but is a certain amount, I believe, that's allocated to what they consider to be rural areas, which Paducah is in the Paducah McCracken County is in that category of a rural area. So we've got some people in Frankfort that have kind of parsed a lot of projects statewide, because we don't want to, for this, like for the RAISE grant, we don't want to have 50 different projects in Kentucky nominated. We want to pick our best 3, 4, 5 projects in each of these categories. And so statewide, they've kind of parsed down our list of projects to figure out which ones fit best fit best in which categories and have the best chance to win. And, that's how we've ended up with Friendship Road for this raise grant. So
It's a good investment for $50,000.
yeah, and we're asking
Get more of those, we'd like that.
we're asking this, obviously, if you want to give more, we would more than take that, but we felt like that was a good number to show that there is a commitment from the city and the county both, rather than just, writing a letter saying we support it, that there would be some financial backing behind it to show that support.
And I just want to reiterate, I don't recall if it was said or not. So the money would only be required at the moment that we win the raise grant, and then it would be spread out over the duration of the raise grant timeframe.
So this grant would do sections 2 and 3, is that right?
Yeah, we would go ahead and be able to fund doing all of what you see, sections 1, 2, 3, and 4. I say immediately, but it'd probably take us a year to get to construction with the property we'd have to buy. But it would be able to do all of it relatively soon.
Have you done engineering work on all 4 sections?
Yes.
It's just the money for right of way and utilities to get started.
Yep.
And that would change our community a lot.
The cabinet's committed to doing this project either way. It's just a matter of the time frame. I don't see us getting money through the 6-year plan process for sections 2 and 3 until sections 1 and 4 are complete, because of the desire, I guess, to piecemeal the funds one at a time for each section, and getting this would allow us to do it all at once, which would be a huge benefit.
So who decides the raise grant? Who makes that decision?
The U.S. Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration have a grading process where they read the grant applications. They have a team that goes through the applications and scores them and figures out who the winners are. At least that's the public facing part of the process. I don't really know if there's behind the scenes things that goes on with that.
When's the expected decision?
So the application is due sometime mid to late April, and the decision time frame is somewhere mid-September.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anything else, Kyle or Chris?
No, I believe we're good on our end. We appreciate your support, and we too likewise think that it would be a huge impact to our community in a positive direction.
Okay.
You said that much better than me. I just said a lot, but great.
All right, let's see. So we never did get to I think it was all in favor, aye.
I think we approved it, but we'll do it again.
Any opposition? No, so that carries. We'll do the resolution. Do we have any need for an executive session? I know of none. No? All right. There's a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me real quick. Steve, Judge Clymer, could y'all send us a copy of that resolution, the past resolution, so we can include that in our application process?
Sure.
I'll give Vicky your emails, and as soon as the judge signs it, which at this point will be early next week sometime.
That's fine.
We'll send it on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you.
No, sir. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Oh, I thought we
So
did.
made.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those no. That carries. Adjourned. Thank you.